hosted by Tony Gapastione. Thanks for tuning in. It's showtime.
This is episode 316. Welcome to the Brave Maker podcast. This is our first podcast at the 2026 Sundance Film Festival. We're live. I am Tony Gapastione. I'm so glad that you're here, founder and executive director of Brave Maker. I like to do inclusive descriptions and visual descriptions. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm a Caucasian guy wearing a black shirt, brown hair, glasses, and tattoos. And my co-host over here.
Yes, hey y'all, Priscilla Lamb. You guys know me. I'm she, hers, black and Asian, so a little light yellow brown mix going there. And I have a fun fuzzy sweater on. It is cold out here, y'all. When I tell y'all, layered up, okay? And I'm super excited to be here at Sundance.
And our special guest today in the Brave Maker studio, Liz Sargent. Go ahead, Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz Sargent. I'm the writer-director. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm an Asian woman with short hair and a birthmark, and I'm in something casual and wish I was in a sweater.
Liz literally just got off the plane a couple hours ago. We're her first stop, so thank you so much for being here. We do have a live studio audience. Give it up, live studio audience, if you want. Brave Maker is all about elevating brave stories for justice, diversity, inclusion. We believe really in the power of story. And this film, Take Me Home, 2026 Sundance selected feature film, is perfect. And I met Liz in 2023 when we did a podcast in like the 200s. And it was December 2023. Your film was just a short at that time. It was awesome. We had this great conversation. Just rewatched it a couple days ago. And now here, 2-ish years later, you are at Sundance.
3 years.
Gosh, I can't do math.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 years, because it's 2026.
It feels like 10 years, but yeah.
But let's jump into the film because people like hasn't even premiered yet. Doesn't premiere till the 27th, right?
26th.
Okay.
The 26th.
So we're the 22nd right now. So you got 4 days to build up momentum. Already sold out film screenings. This has been a long journey. Let me talk a little bit about the practical side of making a feature film, and then we'll get into some story things.
Okay.
You said it felt like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
A lot has happened.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for you. What have been some of the benchmarks?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, the film is so personal, so it feels like it's my whole life. But you know, it started as a documentary. And it just kept evolving. And the short premiered and that has been years of development in the future, and short from Sundance, exciting momentum, but building film. Took me about a year to actually write this place, and then I just started finding people along the way, like teams and film, and you know, slowly built that money. In 2025, we went to the Film Festival, and we did a pitch with AT&T's Untold Stories, and somehow we won $1 million.
Y'all. And that's the biggest grant for film in our country, right?
It's in the world, I think. Yeah, the biggest production grant.
Y'all, $1 million.
Yeah, it was wild. I couldn't believe that I could come out of there, you know, saying I just won $1 million. You know?
Like a lot of ticket. Okay, real quick for pitching tips, because you did one of the biggest pitches of anyone's career. What tip could you give to us filmmakers to incorporate in our film pitches that would elevate us?
I mean, I feel like in everything I do, I'm just trying to speak from the heart, you know, and not try to like sell it or market it, you know. I just like try to start with the themes, and I don't even go into like plot points or anything. It's about like the feelings of the film and what you want the audience to take away from it.
Okay.
That's how I did it. I don't know. I mean, maybe I just got lucky. So don't.
Do you have mentors in the process? Did they have mentors for you?
You know what they did? Actually, Bryce and Michelle at Tribeca Studios were incredible. They were so hands-on through the pitching phase. They gave us really detailed notes on the script and the pitch and the video pitch, and it felt so supportive. And winning the production prize was incredible too, because they were so involved in that process. We went straight into pre-production. It's been the
Obviously,
quickest-
like, here's a check, boom.
yeah.
we can start.
We're like, yeah, we were so ready. But also they were very involved, and
Okay.
you know, through the edit, they watched like every single cut, and they
Wow.
understood the film. Sometimes I didn't even know what was happening anymore. So
Wow.
yeah, it was. They've been so supportive, and AT&T has been incredible as well. They're throwing us our after party here.
Hey, after party. Can we get on that list, yo? Okay. Well, I want to say thank you to our producer in Austin, Texas, Amy Cohen, who is working us live right now and quoting things. If you want to throw in some questions, if you are watching live in the chat, we can try to incorporate those. Let's talk a little bit more about the making of the film. So you get the grant. By the way, I was watching when you won the grant. I don't know if it was live, but I saw you go up there like, what, stunned, and win it. And it was like this. I felt like vicariously I was living with you, through you. It was so awesome to watch. So this film, if people don't know, it started out as a short. You said documentary about your sister.
It started, well, I tried to do a doc in 2015, and it developed into a narrative film. So it is a narrative film, but it stars my real life sister, who plays a version of herself, and she has a cognitive disability. And it was filmed in my parents' house in Florida. Yeah.
Free location?
Yeah. There's a lot.
They're like, wait a second, you got a grant? This is no longer free.
Nothing's free with the work you put into it, you know?
So it starts off as this documentary idea, but then you're like, wait a second, I want to tell a story. I want to have some creative license. And you don't cast an actor to play the role. You work with your real sister.
Yeah.
And if you want to go back, we won't have time to go into a ton of it. When we interviewed and you chatted about your real life story, adoption family, large group of siblings, 10 brothers and sisters. This was a part of the influence of wanting to tell a story about one of the questions you're asking in the film is, why do people adopt? And why do people adopt children with disabilities? You're asking a lot of questions in this film. The practical nature, though, I want to talk about working with your real life sister, who at the time wasn't an actor, right?
Yeah.
Talk about working with a quote unquote non-actor who also happens to be your sister, and the challenges and the joys that come with that.
Yeah. Well, she's my sister, so yeah, it's complicated, and she can be, you know, a pain in the butt, but she's also the most like incredible human and so loving, and you know, I mean, I think I take her seriously. I think we had an acting coach, we had an accessibility producer, we had a team around her that also took her seriously and treated her like an actor. And I think for all actors' processes, all they're trying to do is understand the narrative and be honest in the situation. And because this film was so like sort of meta in a way, like autobiographical, it's in her home, she's playing a version of herself. She knew what the rules were. She knew what the scene was and the relationship was. And then it was just about like navigating her presence and giving her tools to like hit the emotional beats we were going for. And then we were just playful about it, you know, it's improvisational, and it was a lot about instinct for everyone. And I think in that way, it kept everyone on their toes, and there's an aliveness to the film, you know, and I think that's something that people really sense in the film. They sense her honesty, you know.
Okay, one more question, then Priscilla, we'll get to some story things. Again, about the technical and the practical of making a film. I was really impressed with the press kit that you all put out, because you're doing a lot of education around filmmaking for and with people with disabilities, and language around that. And I hear you saying accessibility coordinator and acting coach. These are things that we are seeing more and more happening on sets, intimacy coordination. But when you're working with someone who does have a cognitive disability and you don't want to exploit them, you don't want to tokenize them, what are some of the things for the filmmakers who are here that want to see authentic representation in film? What would you encourage as you're educating people about how inclusion really looks like in the film world?
I mean, as I said, I take Anna seriously. I knew she could do this, you know. I think there's, you know, a term I learned from our partners at Caring Across Generations, who are EPs on this film and helping us do the impact campaign and reach our audience, is the dignity of risk, and that disabled people often don't get to take big risks because we're afraid that they'll fail. But also, you know, taking those kinds of risks is where you find your greatness.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's what happened with Anna.
great.
And I forget what the rest of your question was.
Well, just anything else for
well,
representation in film that you would
yeah.
encourage us to consider.
I mean, that's it. I mean, I think we look at Anna as her own unique individual. I think you do that with every actor. If there's a celebrity, everybody, you know, works around their needs and what their process is. And we did the same thing. I think there's a lot to talk about accessibility, physical accessibility. And there's not a ton about cognitive accessibility. And that was more a thing that's individualized. And I think you just have to go into it with a curiosity and a flexibility. And that's it. That's all I have to offer, because everybody is so different. And I don't want to give a shortcut, you know? I think we have to be open to conversations and really be in tune with the people around us.
Can I ask one more clarifying thing? Does the curiosity and the setting expectations come with like, hey, to my actor, to my crew who has, you know, who might be on the spectrum, what kind of things do you need, or what do we need to do better? Because film isn't always sensitive to time. It's like, we need to get the shots. We will go into overtime 16 hours. It doesn't matter. Even anybody, no matter where you are in the world, in the spectrum, in your capacity to sustain a wild schedule, it's like we don't allow people to have a voice to say, I can't do this. It's too much. Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think filmmaking is just a series of problem solving. It's always some kind of chaos. And to me, you know, we shot in a very tiny house. It wasn't ideal, but the space told the story. And, you know, we leaned into that. You know, we shot in August in the rain and the heat of Florida. There were like lightning storms that shut us down. And we said, we're going to shoot inside and figure out a scene there and be flexible. And I say that because also, you know, with Anna and our actors, all of our actors, you know, we're flexible to what we're getting in a scene, right? And we're flexible and we're working around what her needs are as well. So I think it's the same as anything. I don't know. It's a little bit vague, but also because I think the best films shift and change around, you know, what's in front of them. And I think I was always pulling from films like Chloe Zhao's The Writer or Sean Baker's Florida Project, and their process is always about that. You know, they use like real people and they just want to have like this spark happen. And, you know, sometimes they're rewriting that night, and that happened to us as well. It's, you know, for us, it was a master class in how to pivot, you know, and I see a lot of films die because they put so much control, you know, and it's so perfect and so beautiful and so precise. But then there's like this human, you know, creative, you know, messiness that's missing. But that's what I like in film. And
speaking of that creative messiness, and you also saying it started as a documentary, I felt like some of the shots felt very documentary. Like there's a scene when the father is sleeping on the couch, and some of the shots felt like the camera was shaky, but it's almost like a spy. Was that intentional, or was that like there were some shots that was like, oh, we're like spying into this moment? It kind of felt like we're just peeking into it.
I mean, I hope the whole film feels like that in a way. You know, and the way we shot is we just did like repetitions and repetitions. And then, you know, sometimes we would have to prompt a line to Anna or call out an action in the middle of a scene. We're just like yelling onto set. And then we'd slowly pull back, and we just wanted people to live in the moment. And in that sense too, you know, it's handheld, not in order to like, you know, have it feel so like, you know, verite or documentary feeling, but because we wanted the flexibility to let the actors move in space. So yeah, I mean, I hope it feels that way because they're just so present in the world.
They were so present. It was so honest. It was like, it just felt like we're living. I feel like this whole film was one that like I'm experiencing someone else's world. I'm here to really get understanding of someone else's world. Another thing I was wondering was the style choice. I felt like your music for the film was a very like environmental sounds. Like I can remember vividly only certain moments that you had composed music to move our emotions. And I think at the end that the colors are beautiful. vibrant. The montage is there, just showing so much community and love for Anna.
Mhm.
But that was like everywhere else was like silent moments, but you heard the environment.
Mm.
Was that a choice? What was that? Thought
Thank you
behind
so much.
that?
Yeah, it was,
Yes.
you know, I felt like it was a big choice to go that minimal. We worked with Nathan Halpern, who's composed for some of my favorite films.
Dope.
And he had just such a fine understanding of the film and where music should be, and used it as like punctuation and just sort of to like help us just like gently move people to the next scene. And in the sound mix, we really actually, per his request, like sort of buried it in there, like it was just like a layer of a tone in a world. But a big part of it was because I didn't want to underscore Anna. And I didn't want us to tell anyone what her emotions were. And I think in that sense, I just wanted people to keep leaning into the world and being curious and reflecting the emotions themselves.
Liz, when I tell you those moments of silence that didn't have music and I just heard the environment, crickets, and I was just like, okay, I had to ask myself in the moments, what am I supposed to be feeling? And like what you just said, like you didn't want to lead us. You wanted us to really, our minds to go. Like when she was outside talking to that boy.
Don't spoil it.
Okay.
I know.
But I was watching like, okay, my emotions feel so many different ways. And I actually don't know which way we're going because there is no, I was like, where's the music? Because the music could be like haunting or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, it's good. It's
sad.
Yeah,
like there was no music to tell me what I was supposed to feel. I was literally just, okay, what's going to happen? Because it's like, what does this moment mean?
I think it tells me a lot about the viewer when they have those reactions, their expectations of these moments, and I love that.
Yeah,
I love hearing people's responses.
So I thank you for that experience because I haven't had that experience in a long time. So thank you for that and incorporating that through your music choices.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's
the
good.
Best,
a real audience reaction right here.
Yeah, it feels good to bring it to an audience and hear what they're taking away from it.
Well, we are live from Park City, Utah at Sundance 2026. We are with Liz Sargent, who is a 2026 Sundance feature filmmaker. And if you are watching live, we encourage you to go and check out Take Me Home. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. We're about to do some questions from our audience here.
Yes.
But as somebody who is a filmmaker, a writer, director myself, I always want to be able to sit back and take it in as an audience member and not be thinking about, the camera, because I love that. But I felt like I was able to do that in moments where I was like, in the most beautiful way in my head, because I'm a fan of Sundance. I was like, this is such a Sundance movie. This movie screams Sundance because of the style, because of what Priscilla was saying. And I say this in such an admirable way. The simple and minimalism of the film, where it did encourage you to sit back and go, okay, the camera's just boom, right here. And we're sitting with a dad and a daughter in an uncomfortable situation. And we're not moving. We're not getting close up. It's a medium-ish. And we're sitting on a bed and we're having a difficult discussion. I love that. And I was like, I felt like you gave me freedom as a filmmaker. I think I complicate myself as a filmmaker too much. I'm too busy. I'm overshot listing. But you all, who wants to be a filmmaker, or who is a filmmaker in this room? A lot of us, right? We sometimes feel like it has to be overdone, and we watch a film like Take Me Home, and it just felt like it was a freedom to go make that film. Take the camera, get your crew. You don't have to have a ton of bells and whistles. You don't have to have, a major star, although you did. But you can tell a real powerful story, and I really felt that. And then there was just like beautiful things, like when obviously it was a drone shot above when they're on the beach. Just as Priscilla said, there was all these just moments, and I watched it on my computer. We did put it on the screen here at one point, but I was like, the people in a big theater this week are going to be like, wow,
in the moment.
Wow. So huge kudos to you.
Okay, talking about simple. Okay, now as a writer, because you did write this, you not only directed, but you did write it. You left a lot of open-ended conversations. You use a lot of things that's like, you allow the audience to be like, okay, we know it happened, but we don't know how it happened. why did you choose that? Or like, how did you come about writing your $1 million script and like allowing that to happen? Because I think sometimes as writers, we have to have the threes, or we have to have everything make sense. We have to have everything answered. But your film, in a beautiful way, just allowed us to be like, we know what happened, we don't know how, but we're still moving along, and I'm still so engaged of like, what's next?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for all these responses. It feels like such a great way to come into Sundance and be like, oh, it does work. It's gonna be okay, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like how often do you have a conversation with someone, anyone, where there's closure, especially your family, you know, especially big moments like this. Like, that's the truth. So, you know, and I also would say that, like, I had such a great team around me. So I think you can get lost in, like, executives' questions and forcing answers in there. But they never pushed me. You know, they wanted it to make sense, but, like, they never pushed me to force conversations to close or force answers. But I'd also say that, like, I think the film changed a lot from the script because we had such, like, a malleable process. And I really handed over to the actors for holding all the emotional weight. And I think, you know, in all those silent moments, there's so much subtlety going on. There's so much interiority going on. And that, I think, you can ride forever. You can sit in a wide shot, and if there's a great actor, you know, you can just watch them forever. So, you know, that's not me. That's like all on them, captivating the audience.
And they did that.
So, yeah, they're incredible. They're so great.
So one more affirmation. You mentioned Chloe Zhao. I just saw Hamnet last week, and I thought the same thing. She does the same thing. She lets the camera and the actors exist in the frame, and I'm seeing Jessie Buckley move around and fall to the ground, and sometimes I see her face, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. So you did that, and yes, I know she's gonna be here this week too.
Oh my gosh,
doing
I know.
some stuff.
This Sundance feels so magical.
Yes,
the people here are incredible.
Well, Liz Sargent, episode 316, first interview of her podcast experience for this year. We're going to take some questions. We've got about 10 minutes. So if you're in the studio audience and you want to raise your hand and say hi, keep it short, 30 seconds or less. You haven't seen the film yet, so that's the disadvantage you have. But if you want to talk process, or you've been hearing anything about what we've been sharing, raise your hand and we'll get you. Yeah, Christine, go ahead.
And say your name and where you're from.
Keep it short.
Yeah.
Christine Luthold from LA, and I'm wondering what had you go from a documentary to a narrative, and what the process was for casting.
The documentary was hard. I think documentary people don't necessarily tell the truth. You know, it takes so long, especially if you're doing a documentary about your family. I think there's so many layers that they don't want to expose to, you know, somebody who's related to them. So, you know, I had my own opinions on our life and how I wanted to craft that story. And so writing it just gave me control over that. And a lot of this film is just written from really big emotional moments that I've had and then pieced together as a narrative. So yeah, what was it? There's another part. Oh, and casting, yeah. I mean, what's awesome is the proof of concept really did its job. It, like, nobody ever questioned if Anna could lead a feature film, which is wild to me. You know, they were just, everyone knew that, like, she was a gold. Of course she would hold this movie together. So then the casting process was, we were really looking for humans, like great human beings with huge hearts, who also probably had like a theater background, so they could do repetitions and were really like involved in process. And then, you know, I sort of let who they were, you know, the idea of the character that they were putting together, and I let that sort of become its own relationship. So they're all, you know, they're not, you know, imitations of the people in the world. They're all their own, you know, beings.
One takeaway for me with the casting is everyone says, we need a name. And you hear executives say, we need a name to lead because it's going to get the funding. In some films, maybe that is the right way, but not always. And if you're a fan of the show Heated Rivalry, you've seen people who didn't have any credits before all of a sudden become these superstars because they took a chance and they took a risk.
Yeah.
And I hear that as a part of this too, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Find somebody who's human and grounded and amazing.
and original,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like audiences are in tune with like what that magic is. Like that's what the great actors have, like Meryl Streep, right? It's not just a craft; it's something about her. You can feel that magic in her.
All right, magic continues. Anyone else have a question? Yeah, go ahead. Name and.
Hi, Liz. Bernie Garcia from Sugar House. Thank you for your authenticity and projecting people's special needs on this passionate lens. For people outside that lens, what would you like to impart from them? Is there an ethos or like message, if you will, that you'd like to impart?
Yeah, I mean, I just want people to love Anna. I think the most powerful thing I can do is to show her as like a very dimensional human being, you know, who's like not just loving and hilarious, but she's stubborn. She's, you know, she has fear, she has shame. She's like, there's discomfort, there's curiosity, you know. And I think if you like love her that much, you're going to believe in her greatness, you know. And in that sense, it's like my way of having people fight for her and make better policies in this world, because that's what you do when you love someone, right? And I think for caregiving and those policies, it's like if you love someone, you want to take care of them like your parents, right? And I just want people to love Anna, and I think, you know, she's easy to love, so we're lucky. She's
Awesome. One more question. Anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Dominic. I'm based in San Diego. How did you navigate, like you're talking about truth and authenticity with crafting the story, pieces of your life that, and your sister's life too, that are so real and real experiences, and then the narrative component of it? I'd love to hear a little bit about how you blended that, like what, if anything, came as just very truthful, like, yeah, we're just keeping that as it, like exactly as it unfolded and how I feel it unfolded, or was there kind of tweaking and blending and, like you said, like piecing pieces together? And I'd love to hear kind of what that balance was like.
Yeah. It was a mixture, you know. I have very, you know, especially for the character that could be seen as me.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know.
Is she likable?
Yeah. But I also like didn't want her to be likable. I didn't want her to come back and be a savior. I didn't want her, you know, and I had very strong feelings about that. So that's one line that we like had conversations about, like what her conflict was. For Anna, you know, I wrote scenes that I've seen happen in our lives, and you know, there's certain amounts of drama and conflict in there. But the thing about her is, like, sometimes, you know, we rehearsed. Her acting coach rehearsed her. She read the script with her. She, like, you know, did repetitions. But Anna has a little short-term memory, and so she can't necessarily, you know, perform a scene like that, right? And depending on where she is in the day, if she's like grumpy and she doesn't want to do it, then we didn't do it. You know, we were totally flexible every time. You know, the personal aspect and the narrative was a framework, and it didn't matter what happened within it. We've just found the intention of the scene, or let her drive it if she had a different relationship to what that scene and that action was before. But again, it just felt like if there was the right presence there, you know, and if the two characters were relating in some way, it would be interesting, and we would use that. So the edit was also pretty, like, you know, piecing together only the stuff that we thought was interesting, and we knew that that would just hold the audience, or we hoped.
Now, Liz, are you like this on every shoot as a director? Because your compassion and willingness to, because I can see you having your big budget, you know you're going to have eyes on this film. All the things that you just described, the short-term memory, like I can see a world where a director would be like, oh, that's too difficult for me. Oh, because I know this is going to be the biggest moment of my career. I can't have anybody, like the way you were so compassionate and just like, we are not going to stress it. I know she's right for the story. And however this comes about, we're going to go with the energy and go with the path. Are you like that with all your shoots, or like
No?
that would be
That's
an
so
amazing,
sweet. Please tell everybody.
amazing experience.
Yeah.
But so
You know, I mean, this is what this situation called for.
okay.
I think every story calls for a different approach. And, you know, the first film I ever made was a short film. It was processing a reunion between an adoptee, an American adoptee meeting her Korean mother for the first time without a translator in the room. I wrote it after I made connection with my biological parents, and then I filmed it, and then I met my biological parents right afterwards. And so everything was like alive, and like things were pulled out of my diary. But this was also produced. I won an award through Ritz Carlton and Hearst, and we had this incredible big team and like a good budget, and these actors who were like great at their craft, and I could really like work with them and craft every single tiny little moment. So it was a totally different approach because of the situation, because of the days, because of the actors. And I think that's, to me, coming from my modern dance background, I always felt like somebody imitating movement was not as good as someone just like leaning into how their body moves and how they interpret it. And so I think I try to do that with the filmmaking process, and also with each actor and what they bring to the table.
Well, as a director myself, it's inspiring to go into every shoot with that kind of mindset. And what does the story need? What does my cast and my crew need? So thank you for sharing that. We know you're going to do a lot of talking for the next 10 or 11 days. But last question, the impact campaign, the educational material that you're putting out there. Can you share just a little snippet? Because again, for all the filmmakers out here watching and in the room, it's really important. And as people who are having conversations about it after the film, you give some very clear and specific things to say and not to say in these conversations. Do you want to share just a little bit about that as we close here?
Well, I'm really lucky because early on, our partners were with Caring Across Generations, who's Ajem Poo and Lydia Story, and they've been with us the entire run of this, looking at our scripts, you know, and developing this language, these toolkits for people to start thinking about the way that they're talking about the film and Anna's agency, and they're also reaching out to the community and thinking about how we reach them, and that's a process that's really specific for this film, just like the process that they had with this incredible movie Familiar Touch. And so, you know, it's a partnership, and they're actually starting their own production company. So I would just say, like, build a team around it. I don't think they're like everything I say about, you know, accessibility in the film and this impact campaign, I think it's like a bespoke process, you know? So I don't want to give any answers. I think it's just like you have to put your whole heart in it and reinvent the wheel every time, especially with the way this industry is changing and moving so fast. People can sense the care around it. So
Yes, we definitely do.
Well, thank you, everybody. Give it up for Liz Sargent. Take Me Home. You can see that it premieres here on the 26th at Sundance. It is sold out, but join the wait list. Join the wait list. It does work at times. It does work out. And you have a lot of different panels and workshops that you're doing. You want to say one that you're doing that maybe people want to visit? Do you have it in your head?
We're doing a lot of panels, but I'll tell you, our Salt Lake City screening is going to be like very accessible. It will be open captions. We'll have ASL there. We'll have a caption card. We'll have, like, you know, sensory lighting that's a little bit higher, and we're reaching out to the community around. So, like, come to that one. I think it's going to be a beautiful experience for everybody, and we're really, really proud to make this film available to.
What's the date on the Salt Lake City one?
The 28th at 6:30.
Awesome. Real quick, we'll end with where you want people to follow you and find you and connect with you on social media.
Miss Priscilla Lamb on Instagram.
I'm Lizzie Sarge, and the film is Take Me Home Film with a bunch of underscores.
Find it, follow it, share it. I'm at Tony Gapastione, and please follow at BraveMaker.org. Thank you so much for watching live, being with us in our studio audience here. We have another live podcast, 3 p.m. Pacific time with the cinematographer of Freelance. And I will be at the Impact Lounge tomorrow, Friday, January 23rd at 1:30 p.m. with Roadmap Writers, hosting a panel with some amazing, lit managers and agents, people from like Issa Rae's company, Color Creative. So if you're looking for representation and want to talk about that, I will be at the Impact Lounge. I'm Tony Gapastione. Thank you so much for watching the Brave Maker podcast and live and listening. And Liz Sargent, we're so excited. Happy Sundance. The energy is high. We'll hope to sustain this as much as we can. And brave stories change the world.
And remember, you are
the story. All right, everybody. Thank you, everybody. And that's all. That's it.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at bravemaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word BraveMaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.